This month marks 1 year since the NAACP condemned the Senate vote, which failed to impeach former President Trump in his first trial. After far-right Trump supporters stormed the Capitol on January 6th, the House cast a historic vote, impeaching President Trump for a second time just 7 days later. That same day, NAACP President Derrick Johnson issued this statement on Mr. Trump and his second impeachment, saying, quote, "While the NAACP is nonpartisan, we are not blind. He is a dangerous president, and the history books will reflect that. Now the Senate must convict him swiftly." And Derrick Johnson joins me now. He is the president and CEO of the NAACP. Derrick, thank you so much for joining us again. Great to have you with us. So the NAACP has been long supportive of impeaching Donald Trump, as we laid out. Yet, as I mentioned, it also claims to be nonpartisan. So why is your organization taking this position?
Well, again, we're not blind. And what we witnessed on January 6th has nothing to do with partisanship. This wasn't a debate about tax policy or the role of government. What we witnessed was an insurrection, a failed coup. That's about being patriots. That's about pledging to the United States of America and honoring our tradition of a peaceful transition in government. The former president have violated all of those norms. He has consistently violated those norms, and he riled up a crowd to seek something we have not seen since the Civil War. This is not about partisanship. This is about, will we honor our Constitution? And no one is blind to what happened. We all witnessed it on television, on social media. This was an act of treason.
And 2020 was, as you know, a big year for Black Lives Matter. The movement organized major protests in response to police brutality and the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and others. But President Trump was largely unsupportive of the movement, even condemning some of the protests. Does this stance factor into the position the NAACP takes on former President Trump's impeachment?
No, not at all. This is the fact that anytime there is an act of treason committed against our government, anytime you have the commander-in-chief inciting a crowd to prevent the transfer of peaceful power, anytime you have an individual standing on the White House ground encouraging individuals to go after his vice president, has nothing to do with what happened in the summer. Anytime you have a law enforcement officer killed by individuals who at one point said they Blue Lives Matter, but they killed a sworn police officer. These were acts of treason. We should not conflate this to be anything other than what it is. And unfortunately, we have far too many people who are blind or intoxicated with false information to see the reality of what has been taking place. The erosion of our democratic norms, the erosion of our Constitution falls squarely at the hands of former President Trump. We called for his impeachment in the summer of 2018. We called for his impeachment this time last year, and we call for his impeachment now. We cannot be a true nation standing on democratic principles if we allow someone to get away with what took place on January 6th.
And Derrick, looking at that day, at what took place on January 6th, many people were incredibly disturbed by the brazen images of white supremacy that they saw on display during the riot on the Capitol. Do you think that this is a symptom of a larger problem, or was it endemic to that moment?
It's always been a symptom to a larger problem. Understand, domestic terrorism, African Americans, we've always said, was clearly white supremacy. The rise of Confederate symbols in the late 20s, 30s, and 40s is directly tied to individuals terrorizing African Americans in the South. And now what we have seen, the growth of a regional problem to be a national threat to our democracy. White supremacy is the cornerstone of this. But the thing that's most threatening to white supremacy is true democracy. And we must uphold those democratic principles, ensure that our Constitution is protected, and do away once and for all this white supremacist mindset and to not allow individuals to get away with this. Not the low-level middle managers, but at the top in the highest levels possible, including former President Donald Trump.
Derrick Johnson, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.